in our business and development, which is scattered around the US and India. And currently, we have financed and disbursed over $2 billion in loans for customers and students like you. Currently, we've made such a great impact with ESSEC, and it's a great working relationship we have with the business school. We have disbursed over $8 million in educational loans to students studying at ESSEC Business School. And the average loan size we've awarded has been $28,000. So this means we've approved 28,000. Doesn't mean that customers accepted these loans and moved down the process, but on average, this is the amount that we've awarded and granted to customers. And the most popular course that we have students applying for is the Masters in Management. And currently, we support over 10 programs at ESSEC Business School. So I encourage you to please scan the QR code, see what programs we have available for you, and do poke around the website and learn more about how we work with ESSEC and how we'll work with you. Now, Prodigy Finance, we have a lot to offer in terms of the actual product and the loan process. Like I mentioned earlier, we're no cosigner, no collateral, and no host country credits. That means you do not need a credit report. Obviously, it would be great if you did have one, but if you don't, you can still submit an application. And above that, you don't even need a formal admittance into ESSEC to actually submit a loan and get a provisional offer. You would need an actual admissions letter to progress down the funnel from verification to disbursement. We do have a 5% admission fee and $100 processing fee, which is paid once you're matched with the funding for your loan. Our product is completely online from the start, from your loan application start to submitting all the documentation, even signing your loan agreement letter. That's all done online. You can get a provisional offer between 1 to 5 days. This all depends on the quality of your submission and the documents that you've uploaded. All loans are in US dollars. And one thing I must stress is that this is a customized offer for you. And when it comes to your variable interest rate, this is based on you and what you've submitted in terms of documentation and even the program that you're going to be doing at ESSEC Business School. We have loan terms of 7, 10, and 20 years, and then you can decide what best fits your needs and your current situation. What's nice about our product is that we have a loan confirmation letter, which is very unique, and it helps assisting you in getting your visa. We have a new verification ability online where the business school and you can actually check and verify that your loan has been approved. And it's quite a nice formal document with a QR code and a barcode that reduces the amount of fraud and tampering. One nice thing about our product, building on what I've just said, is that repayment starts 6 months after your class is finished. So that means you must focus on your studies. You don't have to worry about repaying while you're studying. Even though you are allowed to repay once you start studying, there will be no penalties given to you then. But you do have a grace period to allow you to focus on your studies. And then once you're done, get yourself a really good job and then start repaying back your loan. In terms of student eligibility, like I said, you do not need to have a formal admittance, but you do need it to proceed down the application process. We finance over 150 countries, so that means you have to look at the country that you come from. One requirement that you do have to fulfill is that in order to be eligible to submit an application, you cannot live in the country of your campus for more than 3 months. So we encourage you to please apply as early as possible and to please go onto our website and check to make sure that your country of residence is eligible. And we do have a border check and online credit risk assessment, but this is all part of the application process, which is online and very seamless. So now what documents are required? So the mandatory documents are proof of admissions, passport copy, and proof of current residential address, and local credit report if you have one. If you do not have one, you can still submit an application, but obviously, as much as you can, do gather as much information and documentation as you can. It'll just build a better application. Where applicable, proof of family or personal savings, a scholarship if you have one, and proof of salary if you are working when you're going to study. And now the borrowing process. So since everything is online and you can get a provisional offer between immediately or even 5 days, depending on the application, you start with your online application, which takes 30 minutes. You can do it on your mobile phone, your laptop, a tablet, or a desktop, whichever works for you. Then you get your provisional offer. And then once you have your provisional offer, in order to move on to verification or even pass the verification process, you will need a formal admissions letter from ESSEC. From there, and also all your other mandatory documentation. From verification, you move into funding to match, where we match funding to you and your application. And once you accept your funding match, this is where you'll pay the $100 processing fee that I mentioned earlier on. And then before disbursement happens, we do a signed loan agreement, and this happens once you've reached Singapore or the campus that you're going to. And when you're in your campus country, you sign your loan agreement, and then the funds get dispersed directly to ESSEC Business School. And if your program that you're doing is more than 2 years and you want to apply for a second loan, you just have to do a returning borrower application just to confirm that your financial situation hasn't drastically changed, so that you can get the second year loan. And then once the final stage is reached, which is repayment, and this happens 6 months after graduation. And again, there are no penalties for early repayment. And now, what is the rate of interest? So we have a variable rate, which is made up of a fixed margin and a variable base rate. Now, the fixed margin rate is what our internal risk model gives you, and this is your unique rate. The fixed margin, and then the fixed margin does not change over the duration of the loan, which is uniquely assessed to you as the individual borrower. And then the fixed base rate of a 3-month average US SOFR, which is the secured overnight finance rate. We use it because it's considered a more reliable and fair rate than some older methods like LIBOR. This base rate will change every quarter and will be the same for all of the borrowers, whereas the fixed margin rate is the individual unique rate. These two combined make up the total rate that you will be paying. And then moving on from that, we have other loan considerations for Prodigy Finance. The minimum loan size we have by year is $10,000, and the maximum that we can finance for ESSEC is 100% cost of attendance. So this means tuition and cost of living. Please keep in mind that when it comes to part-time courses, we have an 80% cost of attendance. But it's good to go in and then check once you submit an application. This kind of information will be available for you on the platform. If cost of attendance, for example, is established by a school as $100,000 and Prodigy offers you $60,000 in your loan application, you will need to show that you can cover the remaining $40,000. And then that's where proof of documentation in terms of any personal savings you have will be required as part of the verification. process. Since we are an educational lender, it is important to us that we work closely with ESSEC when dispersing loans. So all funds are sent directly to the financial aid office, who then takes the amount owed to them and then disperses any remaining cost of living funds to you, the borrower. And then, like I mentioned earlier, loan is then certified by the school, and we have a very nice loan verification feature on our website. And please do scan the QR code where you can see all the 15 courses that we're currently live and available at ESSEC Business School. Now, besides a Prodigy loan, what else can we offer you? Please do go online and poke around our website. And one nifty feature that we do have is our community app, and being able to talk to mentors and current Prodigy customers who have gone through the entire process, and some who are currently in the process. And this is Connect with the Mentor, which will pop up as a little chatbot when you reach our website. Please do download the app, because then you'll have a community in your pocket where you can chat to a mentor from the country that you're from, going to the same school and even studying the same program as you. And we know when it comes to business school, networking is an extremely important part of the entire journey, because your network also helps you once you're done with your studies. We also have a really great resource center that has a lot of resources in terms of choosing what to study, how to go about getting visas, any tax support that you might have, and just international student life. And it's a great resource to have as you're planning your journey to Singapore, to ESSEC. And then once you're done, what next? We also offer exit counseling prior to repayment, which helps you to understand the loan commitment and support in times of hardship. And we also have a really neat future earnings potential calculator on our homepage, which will show you how much you could be earning depending on the institute and the course that you're doing. So that's a return on education calculator that we have. We also have Prodigy scholarships. We ran 2 scholarship programs this year. The latest one just finished and closed. These were 5 scholarships. 3 of them were for African students because they were financed from Alan Gray Foundation. One was from University of Louisville, and then the 5th one was a Prodigy Finance scholarship. These were $5,000 each, and it was to go obviously to any Prodigy supported school, and you didn't have to have a loan in progress or even submit an application. You just had to submit a scholarship entry. We will be running our next scholarship program in April next year. So please stay connected to our social feeds to see what's going on. And then please speak to us, send us an email, give us a call, and chat to us, like I said, with our chatbot that has a lot of information that you'll need in terms of submitting your application, what help you need, and any, if you just want to talk about the course that you're going to, even the institution and the country that you're going to. Spring applications are currently live, so you can apply now, and fall applications open in early December and might open even sooner. So again, please stay connected to our social feed. And then thank you so much. And now I'll pass it on to Arjun.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm just give me a minute. I'm just projecting my screen. Are you able to see my screen, Johnny? Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So my name is Arjun, and I'm the director for East Asia and Pacific regions for GMAC. GMAC is the company which owns the GMAT exam. And today, with 15 minutes on the clock, we'll simply talk about some of the myths which are surrounding the GMAT and what would be your best method to attack the test. So a little bit about GMAT. We help candidates connect to the right business schools. We also make sure that the business schools get connected to the right candidates. It's a two-way platform. The school chooses the candidate as much as the candidate chooses the school. And we also make sure that talent never goes undiscovered. There's always a business school for you out there. So these are some of the products which we have. We have the GMAT, which we are widely renowned for. We have official prep, which is basically all of the prep materials which are available for the GMAT. Then we have a local assessment in emerging markets called the NMAT. This is just for emerging markets and emerging schools. We also have executive assessment, which is a little bit of a higher version of the GMAT, wherein it's for work experience over 10 to 12 years. Then we have tours, which we do. We have some tools for the schools to recruit candidates from. And I think, yeah, this basically summarizes the list of candidates who come to us. They either have hit the glass ceiling and they want to do something new. They want to do either a career change or they want to expertise in a different field, or some might even join business schools to expand their network. And if you think about the GMAT exam by itself, the GMAT exam is the most recognized test for management, for graduate management programs. It's the preferred test. And we also have a stat which says 8 out of the 10 admissions which are happening at the top 100 business schools in by the Financial Times rankings are through the GMAT exam. It's taken by more than 7,700 business programs accept the GMAT. And I think, yearly about 250,000 candidates take the test to get admitted into business schools. Recently, the last year, the GMAT went through a major change. Actually, 2 years back, it went through a major change. It's now called the GMAT Focus, and now we have just named it the GMAT because there were two versions of the test remaining. So this is the new version. It's a much shorter version of the GMAT. And we also did a study with the business schools and found out that a couple of sections now are a little redundant to what they were. So we have removed those, and this is the new version of the GMAT. The score goes from 205 to 805, just to make it a little different from the older GMAT, which was 200 to 800. The previous test was almost 3 hours and 20 minutes. Now it's 2 hours, 15 minutes, inclusive of the breaks. And it's basically into three sections. Integrated reasoning, also as we know it, is now called data insights. And it wasn't a part of the major score. We had a separate score for it, but now it's a part of the general GMAT. And the three sections are quantitative reasoning. You have 45 minutes to answer 21 questions. You have verbal reasoning, which is basically critical reasoning and reading comprehension. Sentence correction was removed because schools felt there was no need for it. And this is again 23 questions for 45 minutes. And data insights is basically what we used to call it integrated reasoning. And data sufficiency has been plugged into this. And we have multi-source reasoning, a little bit of table analysis, graphics interpretation. And this is basically what you can make of graphs, what you can make of information which is available to you, and what sense you can make out of it. All three sections are weighed equally, and basis your scale scores, which are between 60 and 90, is what your total GMAT score would be. Some of the features which we added to the new exam are we have question review and edit. I'll come to this a little bit later. We also have select section orders. Candidates can choose which section to go with first, basis their strategy. We also have breaks which are available for candidates. So because it's a 2 hour, 15-minute test, if you just don't want to stretch out, have a bio break or have some water, you can choose breaks which you can strategically place. And also we have special accommodations. So if you have any challenges taking the test, we can sort of make special accommodations available for you to take the test. And a little bit about question reviews. So previously in the GMAT, once you answered a question, you could never go back to it. And now, if you have time at the end of your test, you can mark questions as you go through the test. I call bookmark. You can bookmark these questions. And at the end of the test, if you have some time, there's a review and edit screen. Once you click the screen, all the bookmark questions will come up. And you can review as many questions as you want. That is, you can put them on the bookmark as many times as you want, but you can edit only 3 questions. This is also because of the computer adaptive nature of the test. Computer adaptive is, this is the only computer adaptive test. Computer adaptive simply means the question which you answer on the current question determines whether the next question is going to be an easier question or a harder question, so that you have a very comfortable experience taking the test. So that basically, if there is a question on probability which you have answered wrong, it wouldn't give you another probability question. It'll assess you by throwing some other subject which is of the medium difficulty level. So then it judges. So where you land up on the sales score is what your end score is going to be. That's why we have the option only to edit 3 questions. I'm sorry, I just have a little bit of. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So, yeah, so that's why we have only you can change only up to 3 questions because of the computer adaptive nature of the test. Yeah. And these are the 3 sections. These are the 6 ways you can arrange the test. So you can plug in the 2 breaks between the 2 sessions. And the way we have actually done some studies regarding how people answer and how people select the test. There seems to be 2 ways to go about it. Candidates generally, 50% of the candidates generally like taking the subject which they are generally weak at the beginning of the test, because they feel that's a lot of concentration. They can finish that and then they can get to this harder section. Then they can get to the easier section. Or the other set of candidates actually believe, let me get done with the easier section and then go to the harder section. So basis your preference, you can choose how you want to select section out of the test. And with the test itself, it's currently available online or at the test center. You can book the test up to 6 months in advance. The one way to think about this, why 6 months is, you lock in your GMAT date basis your application period, and then you start prepping for the test. That way, you're locked in, you're a little bit committed, and you take the test a little, you take the prep a little more seriously. The number of atoms is you can take the test 5 times in a 12-month period. Sounds interesting, but you wouldn't believe a lot of candidates reach out to us and tell us to increase this period. Why don't you increase it to 8 times? Why can't we take it a couple of more times? And because it's a high stakes exam, people are willing to go that extra length to sort of take the test. And there is no lifetime limit. So after 12 months have expired, you can take the test again for the next another 5 times in the next calendar year or application cycle. So one of the myths which we constantly face is the GMAT is harder than the GRE. So the GMAT is generally required to get into the graduate management programs. GRE is generally required to get into your STEM-based programs. So if you look at it, it's actually assessing 2 different skill sets. So the GMAT is not something which you would have studied in the engineering programs, but for a non-engineer, I think the GMAT would be a lot easier than the GRE itself, because you don't have to remember stuff. You don't have to. It's all about logic, and even the math which is used in the GMAT goes down to basic 10th grade math. We're not wanting to know how. It's not an eliminator test. It's more of an evaluator test. It's more about how well you manage time, how well you're able to solve a problem. That's what it basically goes back to. And yeah, so also the good thing to sort of note is GMAT is a part of the entire application process. So you might yeah, part of the entire application process. So it carries a good amount of weightage in the business school's application. So, and it's also your opportunity to sort of stand out. Imagine there's a scenario wherein you have a low GPA, which is generally required to get into a business school. The only way to compensate that is you can't go back in time, but you can definitely take the GMAT to outweigh that with a higher score. And also, most scholarships which are offered at business schools are through the GMAT. They look at your GMAT score because it's even before you get into the class, they sort of look for an evaluator for which they can offer out scholarships. And the GMAT score also helps you stand out from a different, if you're from a different background, if you're from a different field of interest than the regular set of candidates who are coming in, it helps you stand out. And you're taken a common test, which is evaluated between the other candidates. And a couple of things with respect to the GMAT, we have generally seen more than average testing to be at least 2 times in Singapore, at least. So once you have taken the GMAT, you get a very detailed score report. It tells you how much, this is completely free of charge. It tells you how much time you have spent under each section. It tells you it tells you what you can do to better this, and it also tells you a way in which you can help prep for the next test in a better way. It's got AI built into it, and it's easier. It gives you a study plan also to sort of stick by. And just as a reminder, so the score ranges from 205 to 805 and in increments of 5. So if anybody said their old score is a 560 or a 600 or a 650, that's basically their older GMAT. The newer GMAT is 205 to 805. And to just put things in context, yeah, people generally aspire to score over the 700 mark. 700 is the new 645. So 645 is the new 700. So if the newer exam scores you a little lower, but you don't have to worry about this because the schools know about this. The schools have been given a percentile scorecard, and they know that 645 is equivalent to the older 700. And this is basically the percentile score which comes across. So if you look at it, the new GMAT is in fives, the older GMAT was in zeros. So if you look at it, 745 in the new test is equivalent to a 770 on the old test. So you don't have to worry about it. You can just keep looking at percentiles for a minute. I advise all the candidates who come to me to just forget about the scores and just look at percentiles, because percentiles don't change between the two programs. And another myth is you'll have to get a perfect score to get into the business school. So there is something called average scores, and higher the score, definitely you would get a better chance of scholarships and opportunities. But as I said, it's a part of a holistic application process. So see where you stand and see what you want to score for. And again, I've spoken about it. The score report, it tells you performance by content, performance by question type, and it's also testing your fundamental skills. It tells you a summary of how better you can manage time. So this is very, very important. This is post you take the test. And quickly, we have a 6-week study planner. We interviewed candidates who scored well on the GMAT over the 95 percentile, and we asked them how they did this. Over 3 years, we came up with something called a 6-week study planner. This is available completely free of cost. You can download this through this QR code. And this helps you, it gives you milestones to achieve. And 6 weeks seems to be the general timeline by which candidates are taking to prep for the test. And 6 weeks is basically you need to spend about 1 to 2 hours on a particular day. And that's where the 6 weeks come in. We also have an official starter kit wherein there are 2 full free-length GMAT tests available to you. This is as close as you can get to the actual GMAT test. These are computer adaptive, and if what we say is take one before you start prep, and then start preparing using the official guide, the other set of questions, and take one before you actually take the GMAT test to know where you stand. This also gives you a diagnostic reports after each of the tests, so it'll be very useful for you. And just on the test day, make sure you arrive on time if you are taking it at the test center. If you're taking it online, make sure your computer is completely compatible. Log in a couple of minutes earlier. There's a proctor who's at the other end of the test. Other end of the screen. You can talk to him. And this is a simple screen grab of how a test center might be like. You also have a physical whiteboard, which is available to you when you go to the test center. And you have an online whiteboard as well, which you can use for calculations. This is just a little bit about the whitening. And just as a reminder, this is super useful for you. That's why I put it towards the end of my last slide. So download these. These QR codes are available to you. And all the very best for your prep and your journey towards ASEC.
Okay, thank you so much for Jackie and Jun. Very nice sharing. And now we are moved to the Q&A session. Just reminder for all the attendants tonight, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A button to submit the questions. Yeah, and if you want to send your question to the specific panelists, you can address to either Arjun or Jackie, and they will answer your questions. And meanwhile, we are waiting for the questions. I just want to share the last slides, yeah, which is actually today is the last session for this experience week. And through this whole 4 days, whole week sessions, we have through different angles, different perspectives to sharing our program. We have a masterclass panel discussions. We have alumni sharing. Also, we have a guest speakers like tonight to give you an overall experience how Isaac business and looks like and how the programs looks like. And for this last session, which is the most important session, we are sharing you how you can prepare for the GMAT test. The management test is important for some of our programs, which is I have a highlight in the beginning. We have 7 international program offer for the international students, which 4 of them request GMAT, which is a compulsory requirement. Just repeat that. What are the 4 programs, which is a Master in Management, Master in Finance, Master in Strategy Management, International Business, and Master in Data Science, Business Analytics. So this 4 program is using GMAT or GRE as a compulsory mandatory test, and 80% of students, they are prefer to take GMAT. So as Arjun just now sharing, GMAT is not the they have a lot of benefit, which is can help you to increase the admission possibility, and also can increase our possibility to get a scholarship. And I also want to highlight, especially for the Master in Management program, a lot of students you will probably know in the year 2, M2 level, we have a lot of exchange and a double degree option. And most of the top university, which are our university partners, when they select you for the exchange and the double degree, they were looking at your GMAT score as well. Yeah, so with a higher GMAT, definitely can help you to get into for the top business school with a better scholarship as well. And for certain industries, especially for the consulting industry, when you start looking for jobs and for consulting industry, the companies, they're also looking at your GMAT score as a benchmarking. So GMAT is not only the test to show your learning abilities, it's also to show your logic, problem solving skills, management skills, and the time management skills as well. Yeah, so do start to prepare your GMAT. And basically, I spoke to a lot of students. They probably take at least 3 to 6 months to prepare for GMAT. Some of them even prepare longer time for the GMAT as well. Okay, so here is a question here probably for Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, you probably want to answer.
Yeah, I just saw the question. So I think I would go back to that same particular download the 6-week study plan. Allocate 1 to 2 hours every day so that you don't have to overwhelm yourself, because we also understand that you are probably working, you are studying for some other test, or you're doing your undergrad. So 1 to 2 hours every single day. There are different milestones to be achieved during that prep plan, which is available to you. And then what we highly recommend is take the GMAT exam once the practice. So you get 2 full freelance practice tests, which are available to everybody who registers on MBA.com, not for the test, but just creates a profile on MBA.com. Take the test once, see where you stand through the diagnostic report, see where your weakness areas are. And then we have the official guide, the GMAT official guide, which is basically your Bible for the GMAT. So make use of this guide. These are all retired questions. These are questions which were in the past used in the GMAT. And this is the closest you can get to the GMAT exam. And once you are able to master that book by itself, then you would be easily able to score over a 90 to 95 percentile. Again, 700 on the older test is equivalent to 645 on the newer test. Please make sure you're available. You remind yourself of the new score scales.
Thank you, Arjun. Yeah, you have answered the questions, and I do see another questions. Okay, so this is more relevant to the program, so I can just take the questions. So the student asking about the dual degree with the CMU, and asking whether you should choose the intensive track or flexible track. The answer is that you have to choose the flexible track, because intensive track is only 1 year. There is no exchange and no double degree option for the intensive track. So if you want to do exchange double degree with the partner universities, you have to choose the flexible track, and most of the exchange and double degrees happen in the year 2 of the master degree, which is M2 level. Okay, so if you have more questions, feel free to submit your questions. Yeah, we will waiting for your question to come. And beside the GMAT, just now we are talking about GMAT is so important, and we encourage students to start to prepare the test in advance. And also, I want to highlight about the pedagogy finance. So, as a business school, we do have a lot of support for the future students. We do have a scholarship. We do work with the bank. We do work with the pedagogy finance to provide the finance support. Yeah, so don't worry about this, whether you have enough money to cover your living expenses or your studies. Try to get a good GMAT, try to strengthen your applications, and there's always have an option for you to solve your problem. So beside the management test, beside the finance support, pedagogy finance to support you, we are also here to helping you on the application process. So that's why you can see the last slides, which is our email address. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And by the way, tonight's session is being recorded and will list down in our social platform. So feel free to check out from the linking YouTube and Facebook, which is a IZ social platform. You can review these recordings. And as Andrew and Jackie sharing, you probably need to start to think about how you can plan your future studies. GMAT at least 6 months you need to, in advance you need to start to prepare. And for the finance support, yeah, we also encourage you to start to contact with the pedagogy finance, submit the application to understand your better situation. So everything need to be planned at once, and study with the business school is not an easy task. So you have to do a lot of research. You need to have a lot of connections and plan your study at once. Then you can have a better shoot for your future study plans. Okay, if there's no other questions, we will ending this session. Just remember this is already the last session for this whole week and for the 2024 IZ Experience Week. But don't worry, you can always contact us. You can always follow us, and we will hope to see you in the next year same times. And again, super thanks for Jackie and Andrew to be part of our tonight's session. It's a very insightful sharing, and I think give all the students enough support and confidence. They will aim to come to study not only for IZ Business School, but probably they will aim for all the top university and top business school, top program as well. Thank you so much for everyone, and we hope to see you soon.